Perdition's Mouth Abyssal Rift, Revised Edition, 1 to 6 adventurers work together to explore a cavern filled with baddies. Dragon Dawn Productions provided this in exchange for an honest review. This game is massive and complex, but I'll try to keep it simple. Choose a scenario. The scenario card explains which board to use and how to set up tokens and enemies on the board and pools. Each player chooses a hero, mini, hero marker and peg, and hero deck. Prepare the Stone of Destiny by placing the hero pegs on the spokes. Prepare the enemy watch stone by placing the enemy markers, then adjusting threat. Set up the response deck and mix in the cards based on your desired difficulty. Place the wound and treasure decks, plus other bits, nearby. Players shuffle their hero decks, then draw their starting hand. Hero sheets show your attack type, special ability, and attributes depending on your health level. As you gain wounds, your action points, range, and attack and defense may decrease. Free tip, getting hit is bad. Play hero cards to boost actions or perform special abilities. You only draw cards when taking certain actions on the Stone of Destiny, so choose wisely. Knowing when and how many to play is very important. The icons indicate which actions they boost or affect, and some actions are played as reactions. You can also play cards to aid an ally on their turn to boost their action, but not if you're too far apart. The response deck is mostly used to add modifiers to enemy attacks and defense, and to change the difficulty level of some other tasks. The deck has numbers, 1, 0, +5, and so on, but works out to be less random than a die roll. Some of the cards have a red eye icon that triggers other effects when drawn. Taking damage causes you to lose a hit point, and you must add one of these wound cards to the top of your deck. These have penalties and or other nasty effects, and must be played to get them out of your hand. The game is played in rounds, and has hero phases and an enemy phase. Heroes can act in any order. During the hero phase, the active player may spend up to their available action points. Use these points to move your hero peg to an available action hole on the Stone of Destiny. Play hero cards and activate abilities to boost, then perform the action. Draw one or more response cards if necessary. Each action is explained further in the rulebook, but generally you can move, attack, defend, perform your character's special action, or rest to draw a full hand of hero cards. Action points not used on the Stone of Destiny can boost some of these actions too. At the end of your turn, rotate your hero peg and the next hero goes. Once all have gone, the enemy phase begins. Draw a response card to see how many actions the enemies have this round. Move the enemy marker that many spaces forward, then move the other stone, performing each action until both stones are together again. Enemy actions consist of moving, attacking, and spawning more enemies from one of the two enemy pools. Enemy types have unique ways of moving and attacking. Each enemy activates once per action. Heroes and enemies generally move orthogonally. The number of movement points needed to move depends on the terrain you're moving through. Moving through threatened squares, meaning ones next to an enemy, requires extra movement points. Insectoid enemies move much easier than heroes and human enemies. In addition to moving, you can use points for actions like opening or closing doors, picking locks, pulling levers, and looting dead heroes. Attacks by heroes and enemies depend on range and line of sight. Attacks with modifiers must beat the target's defense with modifiers to be successful. Ties are failures. There are special rules for area attacks, cone attacks, and enemy attack order and preferred targets. Your hero dies if they run out of hit points. The group can decide if they want to restart the scenario at that point or continue. The game isn't truly over unless all heroes die. If you do continue, the dead hero can be looted. There are additional rules for gaining treasures, rescuing victims, dealing with traps, resurrecting heroes, and so on, but this gives you a general idea. The rulebook also gives tons of variants to increase or decrease the difficulty of the game. You can play single scenarios or campaigns. I meant it when I said this game is massive. Plan carefully, fight when you have to, and escape with your lives. That's Perdition's Mouth Abyssal Rift, Revised Edition. Your learning game of Perdition's Mouth Abyssal Rift, Revised Edition will likely last over 2 hours. Once you know what you're doing, and understand that maps change this, set aside 45 to 120 minutes. As always, this includes setup and takedown. Don't even think about trying this on a coffee table. Play on a dining table, or even a floor. Math is basic, but there are a lot of symbols and rules, although many are straightforward and click quickly. There is a lot of reading on the cards, and it's similar to what we're reading in grade 4. Turns require a lot of thinking, planning, and decision making. Finally, there's the theme and terrifying art and components. If you've dungeon crawling or RPG experience, D&D and Pathfinder for example, and the cover isn't too intense, you can play this. Experienced 10-year-olds at the minimum. In our second game of Perdition's Mouth Abyssal Rift, Revised Edition, Mom separated herself from us way too quickly. She had lots of movement, and the right cards came out for her. Me and Dad were slower characters without as many action points, and enemies got between us and her. We cut through them, but she was surrounded. She died, beginning a bit of a tradition for her. We realized our mistake and decided to restart. We learned, managed our actions, worked as a team, and got through the first map easily. Those lessons learned helped us on our second map, and lessons learned there helped us on our third. You get the picture. Perdition's Mouth Abyssal Rift, Revised Edition, is around $150 Canadian. I think only a single store carries it, and many of the expansions aren't available here. I mean, you get a ton of stuff, and it's a smaller European company. Plus, it's not that far off from most big box games nowadays. What I'm saying is this isn't a game you can just pick up while browsing. Know what you're getting into, then seek it out. Have I mentioned how much you get in the box? I have? Well, let me say it yet again. You get a ton. I think only Street Masters and other Blacklist games match the components and replayability. The hero pegs are a little flimsy, and the enemy watchstone spawn window is kind of small. Those are nitpicks though. The theme, minis, and art are awesome. The graphic design is fantastic. The writing, from stories to flavor text, really brings you into the world and connects you with the characters. The rulebook is massive, but also really good. I wish there was an index though, because some minor rules can be tricky to find. The rondel in this type of game is unique, the card system adds manageable randomness, and the hero awards are super clever. Of course we're going to get weaker as we take damage. It's thematic and built to challenge as you go. That's another thing too. Of course the game gets harder on each map. Some games have a kind of, I don't know what to call it, but weird power thing where you get too strong at the end for the end bosses. Here, you could get killed by even weak enemies, so don't mess around with the monstrous ones. I'll talk about the puzzle more in the final section, but I cannot say enough good things about how much there is to do and think about, yet how important planning and optimization and efficiency are. Perdition's Mouth Abyssal Rift, Revised Edition, is awesome. Every turn is a puzzle, turn order, what action to take, what cards to play, and what to target. Even so, the basic gameplay isn't all that difficult. You only have so many action points, and some spots on the Stone of Destiny will be unavailable or won't make sense. You're engaged for every minute of the experience, and it has tons of stuff to explore and play with. You can see what the enemies can do, but don't know what they will do. The genius of the rondels and replayability mean we'll love this for a long time. A new expansion, Soulspire, will be up on Kickstarter later this year. I'm in. This doesn't knock off Street Masters, but it's close. I was in love after my first game at Spiel 2019, and it's gone up from there.